Hi, this is Eric Martin, Report Game Geek. I'm here with designer Mike Elliott and Rudy Young from Bushy Road.
Yes.
And we're looking at Dragoborne, which was just announced. We had listed in our schedule Project DB.
Yes.
And that was it. And no other information other than it was a game. So, I'm going in blind here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can
I'll
talk
introduce
about
the game. Yes.
Okay.
So here we have Dragoborne is our latest TCG, which Mike Elliott designed. We're very proud to work with him. The game is a 1 versus 1 as usual. So what you have, the unique selling point of our game is that we have dice in it.
Okay.
So it's not just cards, you have dice, which adds another complexity, layer of complexity. You can use the dice for many things, such as defending your forts. So the objective of the game is to destroy your opponent's forts before he destroys yours. As you can see here, we have 3 forts. There'll be 2 face-down cards on each fort, which we will call barriers.
Okay.
So
Which are just 2 cards from your deck that you basically place out
Right.
in the center at the beginning of the game, and that forms basically your life total.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you can do with the dice is you can either use them as shields, strengthen your creatures, or enhance your spell effects. So every turn you'll be rolling all 3 dice, for example like this. And as you can see here, there are 3 banners. You have to put the appropriate color in front.
Okay.
So this is a 1, this is a 3, and this is a 3 as well. So these defenders are like a 0-1 defender, a 0-3 defender, a 0-3 defender here as well that will block any attacks that come from your opponent first.
Okay.
So that's the first usage of the dice. The second is with these cards here, like the Harpy Huntress.
Okay.
If you look at the top left-hand corner of the card, there's a dice logo there. So
Okay.
what happens with that is when you put a dice on top of it, which we call Drago Crossing, it automatically gains a +1/+1, plus whatever ability that is written at the bottom of the text.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a resource management on whether you use your dice as defenders, or whether you use them to power up your creatures. There's even other abilities that let you basically use the value of the dice as a resource.
Right.
You can kind of spin the dice down to get extra effects. It's kind of a cool secondary resource system on top of the costing mechanism.
Okay.
And the last usage of our dice is to enhance spell effects. So if you look at the bottom 2 lines of text, it says like yellow 1 to 3 you gain this ability, yellow 4 to 6 you gain this ability. So for spells, all you have to do is reference the value of the die. The only time you can't reference the value of the die is when the die is destroyed. But other than that, it's free for all.
Okay.
So there's 5 colors in the game. When you're building your deck, you're going to pick 3 of the colors, and those are going to be your base resources. And when you start the game, these are going to be face down. So there's 5 colors. There's yellow, red, green here. There's also blue and black.
Yeah.
And you're going to pick some combination of those. You can pick 2 of the same. You can pick 3 different.
Okay.
You can pick all 3. And those are kind of your base resource system. And you start with 3, so there's a faster build-up, like you're into playing the game right away. Like at turn 1, I can already play the Happy Huntress, which costs 2, and I don't have to like play out resources. I'm gonna get a new card off my deck, which is gonna give me a resource as well. Like every card gives you a resource of the same color as well, and that's how you ramp up.
Okay.
So every turn you're going to like draw a card, and then you're going to put a new card in your resource. But you start out at 3, so you get into the action right away, and there's not like, okay, I play a land, go, play a land, go, and it kind of gets you into the action quickly. To play the cards, you just need to have 1 card of the same color, and then the rest of it can be paid for with anything else. And there's basically you'll turn the resources to show that they're used, and at the beginning of each turn you'll get your resources back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can play out 2 creatures. There's a limit on the number of creatures you can play. Like you can have 2 at each fort. Like each one of these is basically a fort that you're defending. So if I have creatures here, they're defending this fort. If I have it here, they're defending this fort here.
Right.
Now during my turn, I can move them back and forth to where I want to defend. Like if this fort's been destroyed and it's gone, I no longer need to defend.
Right.
But I can still put a couple of guys there that I can use to attack. That they just won't be available to defend.
Okay. Within the limit of having 2.
2 at each location. So there's a hard limit on the number of creatures you can have in play. If you approach that limit and you want to get rid of something, you can do that and replace and put a new creature out.
Okay.
And then as every turn, you're basically going to roll the dice, and you can kind of place these out. If you place it out as a defender and that fort gets attacked, your die will defend first.
Right.
So this basically needs 5 points of health to break through. It's like if somebody attacked and did 4 points of health, you would dial this down to 1. And then the next time somebody attacks, they would have to hit and knock through again. And then once that's destroyed, now you can choose whether you want to block with a regular creature or not.
Right.
So one of the key kind of cool selling points is you have like this tension of like, well, do I put my dice here to power up the guy? Do
Or
I
use it for spells?
Use it
Do I
for
want to go
spell,
all out,
right.
or do I want to be defensive?
Okay.
And that's kind of the hybrid element that kind of differentiates this from a lot of the trading card games that are out on the market now.
Okay.
And it plays about 15-20 minutes for a game, and there's a lot of back and forth. Like you can, if you lose one fort, you can come back because now you don't have to waste resources defending it, and so you can be more aggressive in attacking.
Okay. How is this sold? Fixed starters and then boosters, or?
Oh yeah,
different
so we'll
things?
have pre-constructed decks, then we'll have boosters, which will come out in August during Gen Con.
Okay.
Yeah, so 17th August, our first booster will be out, and
Okay.
players can start buying packs and all that kind of thing.
Okay. And so you can play with the starters as you will, or
Yeah, these
start
are
mixing things up?
basically these are pre-constructed decks. The resource system is very forgiving, so you can almost shuffle up any number of cards as long as like they at least match your color of your. Like you can't play blue or black cards
Right.
in this deck, but I could take any red, green, or yellow card and put them in the deck,
Okay.
and just shuffle it up, and I'd have a playable deck.
Okay.
Now it might not be like top level tournament players, but
It will work.
it'll work, and I won't have any like hiccups in my resource system.
Okay.
The interesting also is that you don't always have to roll high values. It doesn't mean that if you get high value, it's a good thing, because sometimes you might want to get a lower value so that you can trigger off like, here I get to boost 2 creatures instead. So it's not, you don't really depend on the RNG that much of getting high value.
Right.
You just gotta plan out your strategy according to the values, and it might be good. Yeah.
In fact, a lot of times the low values are the ones that key off of the spells.
Yeah.
With the idea that like, oh, I got a low value, but now my spell gets an extra effect. Whereas if I
But you
got
could
a high,
just be holding on to this, hoping for that.
right.
Right.
I could be like, if it's a 1 or 2, I get to draw an extra card when I play it. If it's anything else, it's like, okay, I'll play it if I'm forced to, but I'm really trying to save it for the situation where I can get. And if I get the high values, then okay, I'm going to use it as a defender, or I'm going to power up one of my
Right.
one of my creatures and use the Dragoborne ability.
Okay.
You can put any color die on any creature and it'll give you a +1. So even if I'm using like my red die as a defender, I could use a yellow die and stick it on my Happy Huntress
And ready. Yeah.
and get the +1/+1 plus sometimes I'll get the ability. Sometimes the abilities are color specific, but a lot of times you just need any die on it.
Okay. All right. I think that's it for the overview here. Price? Someone asking in the chat. Pricing.
Pricing model, I'm not too sure about that yet, but we'll definitely release the information soon.
Okay.
Yeah, but look forward to July and August. We'll be doing demos for about 200 stores in the US. We'll be going to each store to do demos
Okay.
for people who are interested. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. When you said 200 initially, I was like, $200?
No, I know 200 stores. We're
Price.
going to 200
1
stores.
million.
That's right. The model is just, we want to just sell a few, but they're really, really pricey. So,
They're good, but you have to be
Yeah.
a certain consumer.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks very much, Rudy. Mike.
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
having
Aaron.
us.
Question from the chat: can you do a drafting game?
Yeah, you can draft
Yes,
with it as
we
well.
can.
You can draft.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you can definitely draft as well. In fact, it's because of the color system. Like you can pick the pre-con decks have starting resources, but these are kind of locked and they can never be destroyed.
Yeah.
So like, if other
You don't
resources,
have to use that.
you don't have to like these could be any like. In fact, like these can be special vanity cards. Like you could have like a picture of your cat with a green border if you want, because these are like just basically marker resources.
Right.
And but when you're drafting, you can kind of say, okay, I'm going to draft red, black, and blue, and then once you've drafted those, you'll play with the red, black, and blue dice.
Right.
So everyone generally has a set of the 5 dice, and you just play with the 3. And if you're playing like a 2-color deck, you have 2 red dice and 1 green dice. Like this could be red, red, yellow, or red, red, red.
Okay.
Now that you have a lot, you'll have more synergy, and you're more likely to get the numbers. Like if I have cards that need a red 2 and I'm rolling 2 dice, now I have a much higher likelihood of rolling a 2, but I'm giving up the fact that like I'm not getting the abilities that are in green or the abilities that are in yellow.
Right.
Because there's a color wheel where green is like strong in certain areas and yellow is good in defense. And
Okay. Is there a reason you can't do multiplayer games? Is it just
it's designed for head-to-head. Like you could do, I mean, there's formats where you could do multiplayer, or you could do certainly some sort of team, but they're not. The game is balanced as a head-to-head game, but that's not to say people can't do other.
But
formats.
we are definitely looking into different formats, trying different things out. See if we can do a multiplayer or even like a 3 versus 1, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're not only limited to 3 colors, you can even play up to 5 colors in a deck. Because every turn you're gonna draw a card, and then you flip up a resource. So for example, if this card was blue, now I can even start casting blue spells or creatures and things like that. Yeah.
Like one of the crazy 3-on-1 formats was one player has 5 forts, 1 of each color, and
So they can do it.
and the other players each have forts with 3.
Right.
And so like this player has a larger hand and can play more, has more resources.
Okay.
And that's so there are formats where you can play it, but they're not as well tested. Like the base game is very well balanced and
Right.
Still in works for this format.
the side formats are kind of like if there's demand for those, we'll definitely roll them out. But it's we just focused on making sure that the base game was really fun.
Okay.
But
All right. Thanks very much for the overview.
Thank you very much for having us.